everyone, and welcome to this update video. It has been a while since I created one of these, but there isn't really much point in making an update video if there isn't an update worth mentioning, really. So, naturally, as you guys might guess, I do have some updates worth mentioning, 3 of them in fact, and the first of those involves the question of what is going to happen on the channel next, now that I have at long last completed my Hollow Knight playthrough. The answer to that question is quite simple. I am going to go back to my Dark Souls 3 and Sekiro playthroughs, which I put on a little bit of a hiatus when I started playing Hollow Knight last summer and the game just kind of took over everything. So there's that for you guys to look forward to. But before I get around to returning to those playthroughs, I have been, over the course of my Hollow Knight playthrough, recommended and advised, and it has been requested of me on multiple occasions to watch and react to the mostly complete lore of Hollow Knight created by Mossbag. Now, I have been somewhat on the fence regarding this, because as much of a lore enthusiast as I am, when it comes to lore videos, I can be a little bit picky, so to say. Still, you guys have repeatedly mentioned this video and requested it of me many times, and so I've decided to go ahead and do that. The plan is to record my reaction at a later point this week, and hopefully I will be able to edit and upload that reaction at some point the next week. So there's that for you guys to look forward to as well. Now, with that said, we can move on to the main dish, as it were, of our 3-course update meal. And needless to say is the announcement that I have been looking forward to making the most. For those of you who have been following the channel for a while, you will know that when I created the channel 2 years ago, I did so with the thought of pretty much just recording my first playthrough of Dark Souls Remastered, of my first game, and then moving on to Elden Ring, with Elden Ring actually not being recorded but live streamed. That didn't quite work out, because it turned out that putting together a live stream setup just involved a lot more than I thought it would. But eventually I put together something that I figured was viable, and I partially tested it out when I recorded the first episode of my Hollow Knight playthrough. Unfortunately, by the end of that, I wasn't particularly pleased with the results of it, and so I just went back to the drawing board and decided, okay, if I'm going to do this, then I'm going to do this properly, with everything that is needed actually being what it is supposed to be. So not a webcam, but a proper camera, for example, is one of the things that I acquired over the past few months, and it's honestly a pretty damn great camera from what I've been able to figure out about it so far, because apparently using a professional camera is not quite as straightforward as using a phone camera. Who knew? So I'm still figuring out the settings there, guys, but I am delighted, and this is the announcement, the update that I'm so excited about. I am delighted to say that my livestream setup is finally complete. Okay, mostly complete. There is still one element of it that is missing, but it is going to, so I'm going to order it and it will arrive. It will arrive fairly soon, and when it does, then my livestream setup will be complete and I can finally go ahead and dive into that that aspect, that part, that format of my channel. Now, of course, there's the question, when am I going to go ahead and do that? And my answer is at some point in the second half of April. Why not now, but rather then, well, I have decided to spend the 2nd and 3rd week, more or less, of April with my family for Easter. And when I'm there, I don't have access to my PlayStation. Now, the reason why this matters for the live stream is that when I initially first mentioned a while back that I intended to eventually get around to live streaming, I was advised, and I quite agree with this particular piece of advice, to kick off the live streaming part of the channel not with a completely new game, but rather with one that I was already familiar with. I initially wanted to start live streaming with a first playthrough of Elden Ring. Since, however, I do quite agree that getting used to the live streaming format is a priority, and doing that whilst tackling an unknown game at the same time is probably not going to end up with the best of results, I have decided that the game that I'm going to start the live streaming aspect of this channel with is going to be a game that is very near and dear to my heart. It has a special place in it because it's pretty much the game that kicked off this entire channel, and that is Bloodborne. Yes, Bloodborne is finally going to come to this channel. It's not going to be a first playthrough, unfortunately, not a blind one, but what I've decided is that it's going to be a lore-focused one. Because back when I was going through my first playthrough of Bloodborne, what I would do is I would go in for a gaming session, so to say, and then at the end of it, I would sit down in front of my laptop, open a Word document, and write down all of my thoughts about the game, all of the observations that I'd made, all of the theories that I'd developed, the conclusions that I'd reached. All of that I wrote in that Word document, and by the end of my playthrough, I ended up with an 80-page plus long file document. So what I have decided to do is to share all of my thoughts and theories and observations and conclusions about Bloodborne's lore in the form of a live-streamed playthrough of the game. I did initially consider putting all of that information from that 80-plus page document into a series of lore videos, Bloodborne lore videos, but I don't really know when I'm actually going to be able to get around to doing that, so I figured the next best thing would be to actually do that in the form of a live stream playthrough. So, guys, look forward to Bloodborne finally coming to the channel when I kick off with my live stream aspect of the channel. I don't know what to call it. I don't really know what to call it. But yeah, live streaming. That's going to happen, guys. At long last, that is going to happen. Now, as you might imagine, I am familiar with Twitch and I have watched live streams there, and I do have some favorite live streamers. And all of them have in common the fact that they all have, and here is update number 3, or the topic of update number 3, they all have a Discord server for their communities. So, guys, what do you think about me creating a Discord server for our little community? That's update number 3. My question to you, if you would like that, number 1, and number 2, where should I create it actually? Because as much as I would like to just go straight ahead and create the server on Discord, since that would be the easiest thing to do, I am less than pleased by the entire age verification announcement thing that Discord did back at the beginning of February. And despite the fact that they have since then decided to delay it to the second half of this year, delaying does not mean that they're not going to go through with it. That they've decided against going through with it. I mean. And that is somewhat a bit of an issue for me. Because I am not a fan of the entire age verification thing. I think it's absolutely insane and ludicrous. But, you know, it's like a trend. It's like a trend, and all of the governments and companies around the world have decided to go along with this trend and be part of it. And Discord is no different than that. And so, my second question to you guys is, where would you like me to create this server? I have done some research, and there are two candidates that I have ended up deciding are good choices. One of them is Stoat, aka previously known as Revolt. They're going through a bit of a name change right now. And the other one is Fluxer. The pros of Fluxer are that it's a company based in Sweden, and while I'm not entirely certain that the age verification laws there are any better than they are in the rest of the world, they do seem to be better than they are in some parts of it. So I will consider that a plus. Another pro, is that they are big on privacy, and so they do have end-to-end encryption, which is great. The third plus is that they are pretty much Discord without it actually being Discord. So it should feel quite intuitive to everyone who is familiar with Discord. Now, a negative, a drawback, is the fact that while they do have what appears to be a pretty fully developed desktop version of the application, they don't yet have one for phones, neither an Android nor an iOS one. Which is a bit of an issue for me, because whenever I use Discord, I mainly use Discord from my phone, not from my desktop, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon, to be honest. So that's somewhat of a drawback for me. And the other drawback is that, as I understand it, there is a basic version and a premium version, with the basic version being free for everyone and the premium version being behind a bit of a paywall. Not too dissimilar to how Discord has Nitro. I'm not a fan of paywalls though, so I do consider that a bit of a drawback. But I don't think there was anything else that really stood out to me as a reason not to go with Fluxer. So these are the results of my research regarding Fluxer for now. To the best of my understanding, I am not a tech expert, guys. Very far from that. So if you guys know more, do feel free to share it in the comments below. Because I'm always open to learning new things. Now on to the other candidate that I mentioned, Stoat, aka previously known as Revolt. Much like how Fluxer has a seemingly fully developed desktop version, the same goes for Stoat as well, and it is very much Discord without being Discord. It feels quite intuitive and very familiar to anyone who is familiar with Discord, which is a plus for sure. What I also find is a plus is the fact that not only do they have a desktop version, they also have a phone version for Android and I think iOS as well. Either that or it's currently being developed. So definitely a bonus there, because the probability of me using it more regularly is higher. It is higher. What is a drawback with Stoat is the fact that it's a UK-based company. And further down the line, that may impact the app, the company, and they may end up introducing age verification as well. I don't know, but it is a possibility to keep in mind, and as such, a drawback. There is also the drawback that they don't have end-to-end encryption yet. They intend to implement it. They have announced that they want to implement it eventually, but they haven't gotten around to that yet. Although on the other hand, Discord doesn't have end-to-end encryption either, and yet people feel quite okay using it, so maybe that's not that much of a drawback. I don't know. You guys decide. You guys decide. What else was there about Stode that I was about to mention? Stode has a self-hosting option for a server, which is great because that's pretty much the best thing possible when it comes to privacy. Unfortunately, it does require some IT skills I do not currently possess. I intend to eventually acquire them so that whatever platform I decide to create the server on, I will eventually be able to move it to a self-hosted one. But right now I just don't have the time or energy or brain space really to acquire these skills. But it is an option that I like having. And maybe that I think many of you will also like and appreciate. So yeah, this is the information I've been able to put together about these two. But of course they're not the only potential Discord alternatives. Sorry, bit of a tongue twister there. Discord alternatives that exist. So if you guys know about any others that might be of interest, that are similar to Discord but just aren't Discord, feel free to tell me about them in the comments below, and I will go ahead and check them out. And of course, there is always the option of just creating the server on Discord, aka going the classic route, as it were, going the classic route. I have decided that I'm going to let you guys decide where the server is going to be created. And to that end, I'm going to open a poll in the community space. And I'm probably going to do that either later this week or at some point next week. And I'm going to keep that poll open for a few weeks. Maybe until around, I don't know, maybe around the 21st of March, somewhere there. That gives you guys about 3 weeks, give or take, to tell me what you think about this, the creation of a server for our community, and where to create it. And yeah, pretty much my idea here is that by the time I get to my first live stream, I will have a server ready for you guys to join afterwards or prior to that, and hopefully our little community can grow even more as a community there, where we will be able to interact more and to just, I don't know, have fun together and just be there for each other, I guess. I don't know. This is me trying to pursue further my hope of my channel and the content that I create bringing about a community in some form. I don't know. So yeah, these are the updates I wanted to tell you about. I still have no idea how to finish these videos. Eventually I am going to learn. Eventually, but today is not that day, apparently. Let me know what you guys think about not just the server question, but also about the other updates in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video and are looking forward to what is going to happen next on the channel, leave a like, subscribe, check out the link below, and I hope I'll see you guys not just in my next playthroughs, but also when I go ahead and start live streaming on Twitch. So yeah, thanks for watching.